3 minutes before the needle, a dog decides whether to let go or to speak without words. The room smells like antiseptic and cold metal, the kind of scent that clings to your throat and never quite leaves. Fluorescent lights hum overhead, casting a pale, unforgiving glow across the stainless steel table where Rex lies still, his chest rising in shallow, uneven breaths, each one quieter than the last. And beside him stands Officer Daniel Hayes, tall, broad-shouldered, his uniform slightly wrinkled as if the day had pressed too hard against him, his hand resting gently on Rex's neck, fingers buried in the thick sable fur that has dulled just a little with time, but still carries the warmth of loyalty no diagnosis could measure. And the clock on the wall ticks louder than it should, each second landing like a footstep down a hallway no one wants to walk. 2:57, 2:56, 2:55, and no one in the room says it out loud, but they all feel it, the quiet gravity of something ending. The veterinarian stands nearby, clipboard tucked under one arm, eyes steady but not unkind, waiting for the moment when silence turns into permission, and Daniel leans closer, pressing his forehead gently against Rex's, closing his eyes as if trying to memorize the weight of him, the heat of him, the presence that has stood beside him through years that most people would never understand. And outside the small window, a thin winter light stretches across the parking lot, pale and distant, like a memory already fading. "Stay with me," Daniel whispers, voice barely more than breath, not a command, not even a plea, just something soft and fragile that hangs between them. And Rex does not respond the way a dying dog is supposed to. There is no tremor, no restless shift, only a stillness that feels too deliberate, too aware, as if somewhere beneath the weakening body there is a decision being made. And the monitor beside the table gives a slow, steady beep, each sound spaced just enough to make the next one uncertain. And Daniel's hand tightens slightly, thumb brushing along the edge of Rex's collar, a worn strip of leather that has seen rain, dust, long nights, and quiet mornings. A simple thing, but it holds years inside it. And for a moment the room seems to hold its breath with them. The ticking clock, the hum of the lights, the distant murmur of voices down the hallway, all fading into something quieter, something suspended. And Daniel opens his eyes, searching Rex's face, those amber eyes half-lidded but not empty, not gone. There is something there, something watching, something waiting, and it unsettles him in a way he cannot explain. Because he has seen loss before, he has stood at, tracking something only he can see. And Daniel's voice drops even lower, almost a whisper lost in the hum of the room. "Hey, partner, you still with me?" And for a moment nothing happens. The clock reads 1:48, 1:47, 1:46, but then Rex's ear shifts, just slightly, the smallest movement, so subtle it could be dismissed. Except Daniel knows better. He has seen this before. Not here, not like this, but out in the field, when Rex would lock onto a scent others could not detect, that same stillness, the faint rhythm of a heartbeat that refuses to disappear. And Daniel closes his eyes again. But this time it is different. This time there is something rising beneath the grief, something fragile and dangerous, hope. And the clock continues, 1:12, 1:11, 1:10, but it no longer feels like a countdown. It feels like a question waiting for an answer. The room does not breathe the same way anymore. Something has shifted and everyone feels it even before it is spoken. The veterinarian straightens slightly, her eyes narrowing as she studies the monitor again. Then Rex, then Daniel. And there is a silence that carries weight, not of ending, but of hesitation. And in places like this, hesitation matters. It buys seconds, and sometimes seconds are everything. "Hold on," she says, not loudly, but firm enough to stop the moment from moving forward. And the technician near the tray freezes, gloved hands hovering just above the prepared syringe, unsure whether to proceed or step back. And Daniel does not move at all, his arms still around Rex, his cheek resting lightly against the dog's head. But his eyes are open now, watching, searching, and Rex stays pressed against him, not limp, not drifting, but present in a way that refuses to fade. And then it happens again, subtle but undeniable. Rex's breathing shifts, a deeper inhale, followed by a pause that lingers just a fraction longer than before, and the veterinarian leans in closer, placing her stethoscope gently against his chest, her expression tightening as she listens, once, then again, as if confirming something she does not fully trust yet, and the monitor answers with a tone that is slightly stronger, slightly more defined, and she exhales slowly, her voice quieter now, but charged with something new. This is not consistent, and Daniel feels those words settle into him, like a spark finding dry ground, because inconsistency means uncertainty, and uncertainty means there is still something left to understand, and Rex shifts again, barely, but enough for Daniel to feel it, a faint pressure of muscle beneath fur, a response, and Daniel whispers, "That is it, buddy, stay right there," as if the dog can hear not just the words but the belief behind them. And maybe he can, because Rex's ear flicks once more, and his nose nudges faintly against Daniel's jacket, not searching, not lost, but purposeful, and the veterinarian steps back half a pace, thinking, her gaze moving quickly between the signs in front of her and the memory of what she expected to see. And something does not match. Something is out of place. His pupils are responsive. She murmurs, almost to herself, and that should not be the case, not like this, not this late. And Daniel hears it, every word, every shift in tone, and hope rises again, sharper now, edged with urgency, because this is no longer about holding on. This is about proving something. And the clock reads 0:52, 0:51, 0:50, but no one is looking at it anymore. The countdown has lost its authority, replaced by something less certain, but far more powerful, possibility. And Rex exhales again, a little stronger this time, and Daniel feels it against his chest, warm and real. And his grip tightens slightly, not out of fear, but out of recognition, because he has felt this before, in moments when Rex found something no one else could, something hidden beneath the surface, something that required trust beyond what could be explained. And the veterinarian suddenly looks up, her voice cutting through the quiet with clarity now. "Wait, do not administer anything." And the technician lowers her hands immediately, stepping back, and the air in the room changes again. Faster this time, charged, as if the story that was about to end has taken a sharp and unexpected turn, and Daniel does not speak. He just holds Rex, feeling the faint but undeniable rhythm beneath him. And for the first time since he walked into this room, he does not feel like he is saying goodbye. He feels like he is being asked to listen. The word wait does not echo loudly, but it lands with the weight of something irreversible being held back. And for a moment no one moves, not the technician, not Daniel, not even the quiet hum of the room seems willing to interrupt what is unfolding. And the veterinarian steps forward again, faster now, her focus sharpened into something precise, something urgent. As she adjusts the angle of the monitor and studies the pattern more closely, her brow tightening as she traces the rhythm with her eyes, counting silently, measuring something deeper than numbers, and Daniel shifts just enough to give her access. But he does not let go of Rex, his hand still resting firmly against the dog's side, feeling every breath as if it is the only thing tethering them both to this moment. And Rex remains pressed against him. But there is a change now, subtle yet unmistakable. The stillness is no longer heavy, no longer sinking. It is coiled, like something gathering itself, and the veterinarian speaks again, more to the room than to any one person. This pattern should not be stabilizing. And there is a quiet edge to her voice, not fear, but realization beginning to take shape, and she reaches for another instrument, placing it carefully, listening again, longer this time, her eyes closing briefly as if to block out everything except the sound within. And Daniel watches her, searching her face for answers she has not yet spoken, and then Rex exhales, deeper than before, the sound soft but fuller, and Daniel feels it expand against his chest, and his breath catches in response, because it feels like a return, not complete, not certain, but real. And the veterinarian's eyes open sharply, her expression shifting from uncertainty to something clearer, something that carries both concern and possibility. "His heart is not failing," she says, each word deliberate, and the technician looks up quickly, confusion flickering across her face. "But the chart," she begins, and the veterinarian cuts in gently but firmly. "The chart does not match what I am hearing." And that is the moment the room changes again, not just in feeling, but in direction, because now they are no longer waiting for an ending. They are searching for a cause, and Daniel straightens slightly, his voice low but steady. Then what is it? And the veterinarian hesitates for only a fraction of a second, her mind already moving ahead, connecting pieces that had not fit before. Something is suppressing his system, she says, not shutting it down, masking it. And Daniel feels those words settle into him, heavy and sharp, because masking means hidden, and hidden means missed, and missed means this was never the full story. And Rex shifts again, his head lifting just slightly from Daniel's chest. Not fully, not strong, but enough to change the angle, enough to show intention, and his eyes open a little wider, catching the light. And for a brief second they meet Daniel's, clear and present. And that look carries something that no monitor can measure: recognition. And Daniel exhales slowly, a breath he did not realize he had been holding, and his hand moves gently along Rex's neck, grounding him, steadying both of them. And the veterinarian steps back toward the counter, already reaching for something else, something not prepared for this moment, but now urgently needed. "We need to run a different panel," she says, her voice gaining momentum. "Toxins, uncommon agents, anything that would alter neurological response without immediate collapse." And the technician moves quickly now, gathering supplies, the hesitation replaced by purpose, and the clock on the wall continues its quiet count. 0:21, 0:20, 0:19, but it has become irrelevant, a relic of a path they are no longer following. And Daniel leans closer to Rex again, his voice softer now, steadier. "You are not done, not yet." And Rex does not move much, but he does not fade either. And in that fragile space between what was expected and what is now unfolding, something undeniable begins to take hold. Not certainty, not yet, but the first real shape of a miracle forming in silence. Time no longer feels like a straight line. It bends, slows, stretches around the fragile center of what is happening on that table, and Daniel becomes aware of every detail with a clarity that almost hurts. The faint vibration of the monitor, the soft rustle of gloves as the technician prepares new equipment, the distant echo of footsteps somewhere beyond the door. All of it distant and irrelevant compared to the steady warmth beneath his hand. And Rex breathes again, deeper now, not strong, but purposeful, as if each breath is chosen rather than given, and Daniel feels it travel through him, grounding him, anchoring him to something that refuses to disappear. And the veterinarian moves with quiet urgency, her earlier hesitation replaced by focused intent, drawing a small sample with careful precision, her eyes never leaving Rex for long, as if afraid that looking away might allow something important to slip past unnoticed. "Stay with me," she murmurs, though it is unclear whether she is speaking to the dog or to the moment itself. And Daniel watches her, searching for confirmation, for something solid to hold on to. But what he sees instead is something more powerful: uncertainty turning into action, doubt turning into direction. And Rex shifts again, this time a little more noticeable, his head lifting just enough to break full contact with Daniel's chest before settling again. And Daniel lets out a quiet breath, almost a laugh, but not quite. Something softer, something filled with disbelief and fragile hope. "That is it," he whispers, his voice steadying with each word. "You are still here." And Rex's eyes open a fraction wider, catching the light again. And there is no mistaking it now. He is aware, he is present, and whatever is holding him back is not the same as letting go. And the veterinarian steps back toward the counter, already preparing the next step, her voice calm but firm. "We are treating this as a reversible condition until proven otherwise." And the technician nods quickly, moving with renewed purpose. And Daniel feels the weight of those words settle into him. Reversible, a word that changes everything. A word that opens a door that had been closing just moments ago. And the clock continues its silent march. 0:08, 0:07, 0:06. But no one is counting anymore, because the ending they had prepared for is no longer certain. And Rex exhales again, stronger this time. And Daniel feels the faint push of it against his jacket, warm and real. And his hand moves gently along the dog's neck, fingers tracing the familiar line of muscle and bone, grounding himself in something he knows, something he trusts. And the veterinarian returns, holding a small vial, her eyes sharper now, focused. "If this is what I think it is, we caught it just in time," she says, and Daniel looks up at her, the words landing deep, just in time. And for the first time since this began, he allows himself to believe it. Not fully, not completely, but enough to hold on to, enough to stay. And Rex remains close, his body still weak, but no longer slipping away. And in the quiet space between breaths, between decisions, something begins to take shape. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady and undeniable. A shift from farewell to fight, from ending to possibility. And Daniel leans closer once more, his voice low, filled with something that sounds almost like certainty. I am not going anywhere. And this time, Rex does not feel like he is leaving either. The room is no longer waiting for permission to end something. It is moving, quietly but with purpose. And that change can be felt in every motion, every breath, every sound that now carries intention instead of resignation. The veterinarian sets the vial down and reaches for another syringe. Not the one that had been prepared before, but a different one, smaller, precise. Her movements steady and deliberate as she draws up a clear solution, her eyes flicking briefly to Rex, then to Daniel. Then back again, calculating, confirming, committing, and Daniel does not ask questions, not yet, because the shift in her posture, in her voice, in the way she no longer hesitates, tells him enough. Something has been found, or at least something has been suspected strongly enough to act, and Rex breathes again, a little stronger, the rhythm still fragile but no longer fading, and Daniel feels each inhale like a signal, like a message carried through contact instead of sound, and he keeps his hand where it is, steady against Rex's side, grounding him, anchoring him to the present, and the veterinarian speaks, her tone calm but edged with urgency. If this is a neurosuppressive toxin, it can mimic failure, slow everything down without shutting it off. And the words settle into the room with quiet weight, reshaping what they thought they understood, and Daniel lifts his head slightly, his voice low but focused. Then we can bring him back. And she meets his gaze for a brief second. Not promising, not certain, but not denying it either. We can try, she says, and in that moment trying becomes everything. And the technician steps closer, handing over a small instrument, and the veterinarian administers the treatment carefully, watching closely for any response, her attention fixed not just on the monitor, but on Rex himself. The way his body holds tension, the way his breathing shifts, the subtle language that machines cannot fully capture, and for a few seconds nothing changes, the room holds still again. But this time it is different. This stillness is not final. It is waiting, watching, listening, and Daniel leans in closer, his voice barely audible. Come on, partner, you have done harder things than this. And his fingers move gently along Rex's neck, a familiar motion, one that has steadied the dog through storms, through long nights, through moments when trust was the only thing that mattered. And Rex remains still, but not empty, not gone. And then it happens, small at first, almost easy to miss, a deeper inhale, followed by a slightly stronger exhale, and the monitor responds with a tone that carries more definition, more presence, and the veterinarian's eyes sharpen instantly. There, she says, her voice quick, alert, and the technician leans in, watching, and Daniel feels it too, the change beneath his hand, subtle but undeniable, and his breath catches as hope sharpens into something real, something that demands attention, and Rex's ear flicks again, more clearly this time. And his head shifts slightly, not just resting but adjusting, responding, and Daniel lets out a quiet breath, almost a laugh, but steadier now, grounded. That is it, stay with me. And the veterinarian moves quickly, adjusting the dosage, preparing the next step, her movements efficient, controlled, driven by the growing certainty that they are no longer guessing, they are responding. And the air in the room feels different now, charged, alive with possibility, and the clock on the wall continues its silent count, but no one looks at it, because time is no longer something they are running out of. It is something they are gaining back, second by second, breath by breath. And Rex exhales again, stronger now, and Daniel feels it, warm against his chest, real, undeniable. And in that moment, the line between loss and survival shifts, not completely, not safely, but enough to change everything, enough to make staying worth it. Enough to prove that sometimes the body remembers how to fight even when the world is ready to let go. The change does not arrive all at once. It builds, quietly, steadily, like dawn slipping into a dark room without asking permission, and Daniel feels it first not in what he sees, but in what he holds, the weight of Rex shifting ever so slightly against him, no longer just resting, but responding, and the breaths come closer together now, still shallow, still fragile, but no longer fading into silence, and the monitor follows, each tone gaining clarity, spacing tightening just enough to be noticed, just enough to matter, and the veterinarian leans in again, her movements quicker now, guided by instinct sharpened through years of moments exactly like this, where certainty is earned second by second, not given, and she adjusts the line, checks the response, her eyes never leaving Rex for more than a heartbeat, and Daniel watches her, but more than that, he listens, not just with his ears, but with everything he has learned standing beside this dog through long nights and uncertain calls, and Rex's ear lifts again, not a flick this time, but a small, controlled rise, and Daniel's breath catches, because that is not reflex, that is effort, that is will, and his hand moves gently, steadying, encouraging without force. That is it. You are coming back, he whispers, and the words feel different now, no longer fragile, no longer uncertain. They carry weight, they carry belief, and Rex exhales again, stronger, the sound fuller, and his chest rises just a little higher, and Daniel feels it, solid and real beneath his palm, and the veterinarian steps back half a pace, assessing, recalculating, her voice steady but no longer cautious. He is responding to the treatment, and the technician nods quickly, already preparing the next step, movements precise, efficient, the earlier hesitation completely gone, replaced by focus, and Daniel closes his eyes for a brief second, not in fear, but in relief that he does not yet fully trust, because he has seen hope before, and he knows how fragile it can be. But this feels different. This feels anchored, grounded in something more than wish, and Rex shifts again, his head lifting slightly, just enough to break the line of Daniel's chest, and his eyes open wider, clearer now, the haze beginning to lift, and for a moment they lock onto Daniel's face, and there is no mistaking it, recognition, awareness, connection, and Daniel exhales a breath that feels like it has been waiting for miles, his voice low, steady. I am right here, and Rex's gaze holds for a second longer before his head settles again, but not in weakness, in rest, controlled, chosen, and the veterinarian moves quickly, adjusting the flow, checking the readings, her voice calm, but carrying a quiet urgency. Keep him stable, we are not out of this yet. And Daniel nods slightly, not taking his eyes off Rex, because he knows that this moment, this fragile edge between loss and return, is where everything matters, and the room hums with movement now. Purposeful, directed, every action tied to the same goal, to keep this going, to protect what has begun, and Rex breathes again, steady, stronger, and Daniel feels it like a rhythm returning, like something remembered, and his hand remains firm, present, a constant in a moment that is still shifting, still uncertain, but no longer slipping away, and in that quiet space, between machines and motion, between fear and belief, something undeniable settles in, not loud, not dramatic, but steady and true. The fight is no longer imagined. It is happening, right here, one breath at a time. The room settles into a rhythm that feels almost unfamiliar after the weight of what nearly happened, not calm, not yet, but controlled, guided by hands that now know where they are going. And Daniel stays exactly where he is, his presence steady, unmoving, as if even the smallest shift might disturb the fragile balance that has been restored, and Rex lies against him, no longer drifting, no longer slipping, but resting with intention, his breathing now consistent enough to follow. Inhale, exhale, a pattern that carries life instead of fading from it, and the veterinarian moves with quiet efficiency, adjusting the line, checking the response, her voice low but certain. He is stabilizing. And those words do not come with celebration. They come with responsibility, because stabilizing is not the end. It is the beginning of holding on. And Daniel nods slightly, his eyes never leaving Rex, because he can feel it too. The difference, the weight of the dog no longer giving way but settling into something firmer, something that belongs to the living. And Rex's eyes open again, slower this time, not forced, not struggling, but waking, and they find Daniel almost immediately, as if that is the only place they were meant to go. And Daniel lets out a quiet breath, something softer now, something steadier. There you are, he murmurs, and Rex's gaze holds. Not long, not strong, but enough to say that he is still here, that he never really left. And the veterinarian steps closer once more, her expression focused but no longer tense. We need to keep him under observation, she says. The toxin is still in his system, but he is responding. That is what matters. And the technician moves to prepare the next stage, her hands sure now, guided by the same shift that has taken hold of the room, and Daniel listens. But his attention stays with Rex, because everything that matters is right here, in the steady rise and fall. Beneath his hand, in the warmth that has returned, in the quiet strength that is beginning to show again, and Rex shifts slightly, his body adjusting, not out of weakness, but out of comfort, finding a position that allows him to breathe more easily. And Daniel feels it, that small decision, that simple act of choosing to settle instead of surrender, and it carries more meaning than any words could. And the monitor continues its steady tone, no longer spaced with uncertainty, but consistent, reliable, and the sound fills the room in a way that feels almost grounding, almost reassuring. And the veterinarian steps back, watching, assessing, but no longer questioning the direction. He made it past the critical window, she says quietly, and Daniel closes his eyes for a brief moment, not in exhaustion, not in relief alone, but in recognition of what that means, because there was a moment, not long ago, when that window was closing, when everything pointed toward an ending they could not stop, and now it is behind them, not forgotten, but past. And Rex exhales again, steady and warm, and Daniel feels it against his chest, a quiet confirmation that does not need to be spoken, and he rests his forehead gently against Rex's once more, not in farewell, but in presence, in gratitude, in something deeper than either of those. And in that stillness, surrounded by the soft hum of machines and the quiet movement of people who chose to look closer, to question, to wait, the truth settles in without noise, without announcement, that sometimes the difference between loss and grace is no louder than a single word spoken at the right moment, and a bond that refuses to let go when everything else is ready to. The room grows quieter in a different way now, not because something is ending, but because something has been allowed to continue, and that kind of quiet carries a weight that feels almost sacred, the kind that settles into the walls and lingers long after the moment has passed. And Daniel does not move right away. He stays where he is, his hand still resting against Rex, feeling the steady rhythm that only minutes ago had been uncertain, fragile, slipping through his fingers like something he could not hold. And now it is here, present, grounded, real, and Rex breathes with a calm that feels earned, not given. Each inhale deeper than before, each exhale softer, more controlled, and his body no longer fights the weight of itself. It rests into it, supported, safe, and Daniel watches him with a kind of stillness that comes from understanding just how close this came to being something else, something final. And the veterinarian steps back, giving space now, her role shifting from intervention to observation, her eyes still attentive, but no longer searching for signs of collapse, instead watching for signs of return. And the monitor continues its steady tone, no longer a warning, but a quiet confirmation that life has chosen to stay. And Rex's eyes open again, clearer now, the haze nearly gone, and they find Daniel without hesitation, as if that connection had never been broken, only tested. And Daniel exhales slowly, a breath that carries more than relief. It carries gratitude, something deeper, something quieter, and he leans his forehead gently against Rex's once more, not out of fear of losing him, but out of recognition of what remains. You did not let go, he whispers, his voice steady, grounded, and Rex does not need to answer with words. The slight shift of his head, the soft press against Daniel's hand, says enough. And in that small movement, there is something profound, something that speaks of trust that runs deeper than instinct, deeper than training, something that chooses to stay when leaving would have been easier. And the room holds that moment without interrupting it. The technician moves quietly in the background. The veterinarian checks the readings once more, But no one breaks the space that has formed between them, because it is understood, without being said, that this is the real outcome, not just survival, but connection preserved, and time moves forward again, not in seconds counted down, but in moments allowed to unfold. And Daniel straightened slightly, his hand still resting where it has been all along, but now it is not holding on. It is simply there, present, steady, and Rex breathes, calm and as something that runs out, but as something that can be held on to, moment by moment, breath by breath. And Rex closes his eyes again, not in weakness, but in rest, the kind that comes after a fight no one else could see. And Daniel remains there beside him, not saying anything more, because nothing more needs to be said. And in the stillness that follows, in the quiet space where fear once stood, there is only one truth left, simple and unspoken, that sometimes the smallest act of holding on can save two lives at once.